What if the music that defined generations was born from a moment so dark, so suffocating with guilt, that death seemed like the only escape? What if Billy Joel, the iconic Piano Man, almost silenced his own song forever because he couldn't live with the man he'd become? The image is seared into our collective memory. Billy Joel, rakish grin, fingers flying across the keys, belting out anthems of everyday heroes and restless dreamers. He's the soundtrack to our lives, a seemingly invincible troubadour. But the raw, unflinching revelations in the new documentary, Billy Joel. And so it goes. Tear down that invincibility, exposing a chapter so harrowing, so steeped in despair, it forces us to confront the brutal cost of human frailty and the desperate, fragile line between destruction and redemption. Let's be brutally honest. The story begins with a profound betrayal. A young Billy Joel, adrift and finding his musical footing in the band Attila, moves in with his best friend, drummer John Small, Small's wife Elizabeth Weber, and their young child. The intimacy of shared space, shared dreams, became fertile ground for disaster. As Elizabeth herself admits in the documentary, was a slow build. But build it did, until the unthinkable became undeniable. Joel walked up to the man who trusted him implicitly, the man who was his band, and uttered the devastating words, "I'm in love with your wife." The avalanche of consequences, the fallout, was immediate and total. Attila shattered. The brotherhood between Joel and Small evaporated in an instant, replaced by a well-deserved punch and oceans of bitterness. Elizabeth fled the scene. Joel, consumed by a toxic cocktail of guilt, shame, and heartbreak, spiraled into a darkness few can comprehend. I felt very, very guilty about it. They had a child. I felt like a homewrecker. Joel confesses a stark admission that cuts through any rock star bravado. He was homeless, sleeping in laundromats, his mental state deteriorating to the point of feeling almost psychotic. The world, once full of musical possibility, became a suffocating prison of his own making. The pain wasn't fleeting, it was existential. Tomorrow is going to be just like today is, and today sucks, he reasoned. So, I just thought I'd end it all. The first descent, a sister's agony. The mechanics of his despair are chillingly mundane, yet devastating. His sister, Judy Molinari, working as a medical assistant, gave him sleeping pills to help him rest. Seeing only his exhaustion, not the depth of his suicidal intent, she became an unwitting accomplice to his plan. He took them all. The result? Not peace, but a coma lasting days and days and days. Molinari's testimony is heart-wrenching, seeing him laying there white as a sheet. I thought that I'd killed him. Imagine that burden. The loving sister believing her attempt to help had ended her brother's life. Joel himself acknowledges the staggering selfishness of the act, yet the darkness wasn't done with him. Waking up in the hospital, the pain hadn't magically vanished. It intensified, twisting his resolve into a desire to do it again right. The second descent, lemon pledge, and life-saving irony. What followed is almost beyond belief in its bleak desperation. Molinari reveals he drank a bottle of furniture polish lemon pledge. The sheer, horrifying banality of the method underscores the depths of his hopelessness. Who saves him? The ultimate, crushing irony. John Small, the very man whose life he had shattered. Even though our friendship was blowing up, John saved my life, Joel states, a sentence loaded with unbearable weight. Small's perspective adds another layer of profound humanity. He never really said anything to me. The only practical answer I can give was because he loved me that much and that it killed him to hurt me that much. Even amidst his own devastation, Small recognized the genuine agony driving Joel's actions. Forgiveness, however distant then, found its first seed in that desperate act of mercy. The observation ward and the alchemy of pain. Rock bottom wasn't the end. It became a terrifying foundation. Feeling like a lost soul, Joel did something crucial. He voluntarily checked himself into an observation ward. This wasn't a glamorous rehab. It was raw confrontation. Released within weeks, a fundamental shift occurred. The documentary captures his pivotal realization: it got out. And I thought to myself, you can utilize all those emotions to channel that stuff into music. This is the critical turning point. The moment where commentary must scream, "Pay attention." Joel didn't just recover, he transmuted his guilt, his shame, his near-fatal despair, into the very essence of his art. The emotional honesty that would define Piano Man, the melancholic beauty of Vienna, the restless energy of scenes from an Italian restaurant, the world-weary resilience of You May Be Right, they were forged in the crucible of this near-death experience. His pain became our poetry, his survival our anthem, the uncomfortable truths and the long road. The affair and marriage, let's not sanitize it. He did marry Elizabeth Weber years later, 1973-1982. Does this negate the betrayal? No. Does it complicate the narrative? Profoundly. It forces us to grapple with messy human emotions, love blooming in undeniably wrong circumstances, lasting beyond the initial wreckage. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, but it happened. Male mental health in the 70s. Joel's descent wasn't just personal, it reflected an era where men, especially in the hyper-masculine rock world, were expected to swallow their pain with booze and bravado. His suicide attempts were a catastrophic failure of that toxic code. His willingness to seek the observation ward, however brief, was a radical, life-saving act of vulnerability in a time that scorned it. The redemption isn't simple. Forgiveness from Small took time. Living with his own actions took a lifetime. The documentary isn't about erasing the past, it's about exposing the brutal cost and the arduous, imperfect path forward. Joel didn't become a saint, he became a survivor who channeled his demons into something the world needed. Why this story resonates now, and why the hook holds. This isn't just celebrity gossip. It's a raw, unfiltered look at the catastrophic consequences of a single moral failure, the terrifying reality of suicidal depression, and the astonishing, almost alchemical power of human resilience and creative expression. We see the idol laid bare, broken by his own hand. We see the devastating ripple effects of betrayal. We see the agonizing burden placed on loved ones. But crucially, we see the spark that refused to die. We see how the very emotions that nearly destroyed him became the fuel for the music that defined him and uplifted millions. The final chord. Billy Joel's story is a stark reminder that brilliance often walks hand in hand with profound brokenness. The Piano Man serenading the bar isn't just singing about lonely dreamers, he's singing from the abyss he barely escaped. His journey from the laundromat floor, the hospital bed reeking of lemon polish, to the sold-out stadiums is a testament not to perfection, but to the agonizing, messy, and ultimately triumphant struggle to find light after choosing it twice, to extinguish it. The documentary promises the why he wanted to end it all. The deeper, more resonant truth it reveals is how he found a reason, no, by painful note, to keep playing. The greatest songs, it seems, are sometimes written in blood, tears, and the desperate ink of survival. That's the power that will keep audiences watching until the very end.